have to give a little plug for Delta Faucet is I did put in a new shower faucet in our bathroom. And literally it took our shower from a nice in-home shower to like a luxury hotel shower. Oh my goodness, it is the best. We're crazy about it. So anyway, okay, well, we're going to get started today, everybody, with the classic meatball recipe. I've already put in, the recipe that I gave you guys is 1.5 pounds. Here I go, I'm winging it. I put in 2 pounds here. So I'm going to follow basically everything else except for, in addition to the can of tomato sauce, I use a natural ketchup, and I'm going to give just an extra little squeeze because having that tomato in there with it really helps keep them moist. So I'm going to get just started, and literally, you put everything in the bowl, and then I use my hands. I like to put the little gloves on because sometimes the feel of the meat kind of gets to me. So I'm just going to go ahead, and we're going to dump everything in. I've got my recycle bowl going. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Let's see how many parsley flakes I use. Let's see. Yeah, 1/2 cup might be a little bit much. I think it would be okay, but let's say 1/3 cup. Okay, and then and I kind of use the palm of my hand for the Italian seasoning, but I'm kind of generous with that because you really want these to have really a nice flavor. And then I am using today, I'm going to use the gluten-free breadcrumbs, and I am going to measure. I use about 1/2 cup, either gluten-free or regular. The reason why is I'm going to go ahead and freeze these, and there might be an occasion where I'm going to have somebody over for dinner that is gluten-free, and I'll know that these meatballs weren't made with any gluten. So I'm using these, and this Kroger brand, I mean, sometimes the gluten-free is really good. I mean, and they have one that's traditional and one that's Italian. So I could have used the Italian ones in here. Of course, I would still use the Italian seasoning, but these are great. And then I'm going to do just a little squeeze of this natural ketchup in here, just because I have that little bit of extra meat. I'm going to sprinkle in the Parmesan cheese. And then I think, did I put salt and pepper in here? I think, yes. Okay, I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of salt. And I don't know if you guys saw in the recipe, yes, and I'm going to show you guys how I do that. I'm going to put in a little garlic powder, about a tablespoon of garlic powder. Okay. And then I'm going to put just a touch of cayenne pepper. I have one client that I would be really sprinkling in the red pepper flakes. So I'm putting in about a 1/2 teaspoon in here. So now what I'm going to do is I get these gloves that these disposable ones, because really sometimes your hands are just the best mixing tools. I already have my oven is preheated to 375, and I'm just going to get in here and mush. And then what I do is once it's all mixed is I'm going to take a little teaspoon and make a little meatball. And I'm going to put it in a little glass dish and microwave it and then taste it. So then I can see, does it need more parsley flakes or does it need more Italian seasoning? And then I can add before I go ahead and bake all the meatballs and go, boy, that needed a little bit more salt or needed a little bit more of this or that. So I was telling Ashley earlier before you guys all got on that I'm going to use the larger of the 3 cookie scoops that I showed you guys for the meatballs today, but the medium-sized one is great for bite-sized meatballs that you can then put in for like an hors d'oeuvre party, football things. I mean, things when people are finally getting together and doing stuff together again, and just put them in the crock pot with a really nice jarred marinara sauce over them and have them for an easy potluck type dinner or hors d'oeuvre party or whatever. They're just great. We've gotten great reviews. Okay, so this is all mixed beautifully. Show you guys, see, it's all mixed up. And now I'm going to go ahead and just use my fingers. I'm just going to make a little ball, about like that. I'm going to put it in here. Take off the plastics. And just go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and do 30 seconds on high. Normally, like when you guys reheat food in the microwave, Never do it on high. Something like this where I'm just going to do it for 30 seconds to cook. But I know, like in the meals that I repeat for people, or when I tell my clients, is do it at 50 to 70% power, and then add more time if you need to. It's just kinder to your food. It's not going to hurt you if you do it, but you want the integrity of your food to stay nice. Okay. So 30 seconds on high, that little meatball is finished. And it's hot. So I'm going to take a little fork. I'm going to taste it. Delicious. I'm going to set that over there. And now what I'm going to do, I told Ashley I'm going to do some in the meatballs. And I mean, as much as you don't have to really touch anything with the scoop, I still kind of smush it around a little bit. So I'm just going to go around and put in I'm going to make some into meatballs and then some into burgers. And actually, another thing you could do with this is, let's say you made this mixture and you didn't want to make them, for some reason, all into meatballs. You have a couple options here. You can take this mixture, or part of the mixture, or the whole, if you're using 2 pounds, I would use 2, is add 1 egg per pound of meat, make it into a meatloaf, okay? So what I'm going to do is probably, just so we have more time, is I'm going to go ahead and do these, some meatballs and then some into burgers. And if I have some meat left over, I'll either put it in the fridge, wrap it up, and then I'll finish these up later. But you could also wrap this up and label it, freeze it, label it, and just say meatball mixture, and then thaw it, and then do, thaw it, and then portion it into meatballs later. So that's another option for thinking about making something for the future, whether you cook it all at once or, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just do these 12 meatballs. And then I'm going to take some portions and I'm going to do 3 burgers on the same. Now I just kind of guess for the size that my husband and I like. Sometimes if I'm real technical, I have a little scale and I'll weigh and say, okay, I want this to be about 5 ounces or 4 ounces or whatever. But I'm going to make 3 patties that I'm just going to line up right here with these meatballs. And then these are going to be baked meatball burgers. And I mean, they're just so much tastier. And when I decided to start doing this is occasionally we would have actual like burgers on the grill. I'd make extra. And then we go to reheat them, not even after frozen, just like the next day. And, they can just be kind of dry and just not interesting. And these just are so much better and just a whole heck of a lot more just tasty and more moist. And so my husband just loves them, and I just call them burgers. I was telling Ashley earlier, I'll sometimes will have a burger like this. He'll have his on top of this. Costco's got these beautiful artisan square rolls. They're so good. So he'll have his like open face on a toasted roll, and sometimes I will too. But then let's see, there's still some of this left over, and after class, I'll probably go ahead and either make another bunch of meatballs or burgers. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and get this, set this aside, wash my hands. And then we're going to go ahead and pop these into the oven. Okay. Great, and that's a 375. And I think I usually do these for about, I'm going to say 20 minutes, and then if they take 5 minutes more, but usually 20 minutes pretty much does it. And that's the one thing too that's good with beef, if it's not critical like it is chicken or turkey. So it's something, if it's a touch pink inside, of course it's going to be cooked all the way through. But and if you're a person that really likes things well done, then do it longer. So anyway, those guys are in. So now what I want to do is we're going to get started. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions about the meatballs or what I'm doing so far?
Yeah, Kara had a question. She said venison is very lean and tends to crumb. Do you have a good binding agent suggestion?
Well, you know what? I would probably, for sure, the tomato sauce is going to help. And I think that that's that should help. And then, of course, your breadcrumbs. There isn't anything saying that you can't also add an egg in there or even egg whites, that would help a little bit. But yeah, anything that's going to add in some moisture, like, well, the parsley flakes, anything that's going to kind of help. Um, yeah, I think that having the tomato sauce, be sure, you can even maybe be a little bit more liberal with it, where then it's, the mixture's a little bit more, uh, well, just where you use a little extra or add, like I did, the tomato sauce and then maybe a little bit of ketchup or something, I think might help. That'd be fun for her to try and then see how that works. But I know venison, it is very lean. Yes. Yeah. Sound good? Okay, so now you guys, what I want to talk about, we're going to do this is we have requests for things for lunch, and also, I think, was it for ground turkey? I can't remember. I know one thing was a lunch thing. So this Greek turkey wrap filling that I'm going to make is absolutely such a huge favorite of clients of mine. And what's nice about it is after it's made, you can put it into wraps, which I'm going to make some into wraps. I also portion it into little sandwich bag size, like what I would consider a serving, and roll it up. And then I'll stack like 4 or 5 into a quart size freezer Ziploc. And then when I just want something either to pull out and add into a small bowl and add some chicken bone broth and have like a little soup, or I'll have it cold on top of the salad. It's outstanding in the wraps for lunches. So it's just really a versatile, super simple, very, very lean and healthy dish. So what I'm going to talk about first is we talked a little bit about the knives, in the first class. The other thing about your knife is that a dull knife is a lot more dangerous than a sharp knife. And if you have a butcher block set of knives, different knife companies use different combinations of steel. So if you have that steel that came with your knife set, that is specifically to sharpen that brand of knives, okay? I don't know what would happen if you used it on one that wasn't that brand. I don't know, but I know that that's what the knife companies do. So the brand knife that I have is Wusthof Trident. But what I discovered is that when you use a ceramic knife sharpener, or we had actually, I can't remember the brand because we had it for years, but it's an electric knife sharpener and it worked really, really well. But I didn't put this on my favorite tools, and I can't remember if it's because I couldn't find one or if I forgot. But this is called, the brand is Firestone. And between now and next week, I'll look and see if I can find a link for this. But it's a ceramic knife sharpener. So here's what you do is the brown side is the one that's the more coarse. And literally, I just run this down through here, 8, 10 times. And you guys, this knife sharpener is over 15 years old. And then I go to the white side. So it's made out of ceramic wheels, and you just sort of, glides between here. So especially if I'm going to be cutting meat and different things, but I wanted to show you guys that having your knives sharp is just key, because if they're not and you get fighting it, that's when it slips. And in over 18 years, I've had my share of nicks and cuts. So it's just really, really a good idea. So what I did is, the recipe you guys have is I used 4 bell peppers. Honestly, have whatever combination you want. 2 green, 2 red, 1 green, 3 orange, whatever. I just so happened, it was great. The bell peppers, I still can't believe it. When I started, I think bell peppers were 29 cents a piece. Now, if you get these for $1 each, it's a bargain. So they were on sale for 99 cents for the colorful ones, and I got really nice big ones. I've already cut up the green, the orange, and the yellow because I didn't think you needed to watch me dice 4 bell peppers. But I do want to show you how I cut a pepper. And what's funny is, you guys, when I first started, actually, when I went to visit my niece, who was a personal chef, to see if this career would like resonate with me, literally, I did not know how to cut a pepper, and she showed me. So I cut off the top, and I'm sure if you Google how to cut a pepper, there's probably a plethora of ways, but I'm just going to show you the way I do it. So I cut off the top. And here's another little hint. If like you're hungry while you're cooking, this little top, just cut around the edges. You can snack on this. It's like free food. It's a vegetable. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around the edges here, little strips, and then I'm going to dice those. So I still will probably keep this because this is edible. I might snack on that later. And then I'm going to dice that in just a second. So now you can see your pepper. It has ribs. I'm going to slide my knife down along the side of each of those ribs, okay? So then all the seeds and everything are all in between. Now, yes, there's a little bit of pepper here and here, which, you know, yes, you could cut that off. I'm probably not going to do that today, but yes, you could cut that off and use it. But to save time, and actually, sometimes I'll set this aside. I'll cut the bottom off and snack on that, or dice it and use it. So, but this is how how I do it. And then I'll take each of these pieces. I'm going to cut them long ways, and then I'm going to dice all the strips. So, and remember, kind of keep your fingers curled back. Oh, the other tip, this is the thing that my niece Janelle told me. She goes, Liz, never cut on the outside of the pepper. Well, your knife is going to slide all over the place. It's like, well, that's brilliant. So, and I've had people when I've done cooking classes before, they go, they never thought of that. And it's true. On the inside, your knife is going to grip. So I'm going to go ahead and make all of these into long strips, and then I'll line them up and give them a dice. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start getting my pan hot for the turkey. And you guys, please feel free while I'm doing this to any kind of questions about anything. It doesn't have to be about peppers. Feel free. How many people made some of the recipes from last week? Anyone? I know Ashley did. Is everybody still there?
I did.
We're here.
Oh, great. Okay, I can tell. I thought, oh, I wonder if the Zoom's still working. Okay.
I did. I made the meatballs this weekend. They were really good.
Oh, great. I'm trying to think. Is it? Were you the one that made them with the ground turkey?
Yes. Yeah. That was me. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, great. And when you said that, I thought, well, I thought I put ground meat.
I think I think you did. I think it was the other recipe that said ground turkey. So I think I might have gotten them confused when I.
Right. Well, and you know what's good is the one I'm making today. You could do this with ground meat, with ground beef. The one that I'm going to do with the turkey. So anyway, so I've got all the peppers are done. And these are 2 bunches of green onions, just the green part. My husband likes the white part, so I always save that for him. You can put the white part in, but I do 2 bunches of the green, just the green part. And so what we do first now is I'm over at the stove. You can kind of see me. We're getting this hot. And I've got 3 pounds of ground turkey, and I'm using the 85%. You could obviously use the 92 or even all breast meat, ground turkey. I've just chosen to use this. The particular person I know I'm going to make these for prefers that. And it does because it has the thigh meat in with it. It is, I think, a little bit more flavorful. So there it's starting to get. So this is going to be a little bit of course, cooking time here. But so this might be, I'm trying to think what I wanted to share also with you guys. While this is cooking. Okay, we're also going to think about what kind of things you guys would like for our final episode next Monday. When Wendy and I talked about this, we decided, because we've been trying to make this interactive, that if you had something in particular, I am going to show you some different things that I do for freezing, certain little tips. But if there was something in particular you wanted to learn. So run that around. Okay, this is gonna take not a super long time, but, and what you can do too is I can put like a partial lid over this to kind of add in to get this cooked. But so basically what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get this nice and browned, and then basically, then I add in the seasonings, the lemon juice, the nutmeg, and that's what I'll show you guys. I know those of you that bake are probably more familiar with nutmeg, but I love using the whole nutmeg. Oh, here it is. And they just, you know, they're little hard guys. And yes, you can obviously use the one in the can. Don't feel like you have to go get this to make the recipe, okay? And then I use a grater, a really fine grater, and then just grate it into the mixture. So this is and it's interesting. If you don't have the nutmeg, don't worry about it. But there's something about it. It really just does make a difference in the dish. It does. So. Okay. My meatballs are going. The other thing too with the meatball recipe is I make a very simple marinara sauce using crushed tomatoes, Italian seasoning, some diced onion and such. But to be honest with you, I'm such an avid label reader, and there are some really, really nice marinara sauces on the market that if you don't feel like making your own, don't guilt yourself into feeling like you should. Simple Truth makes an organic tomato basil that's lovely. And like I said, those meatballs, just, you know, putting them, you know, thaw the ones after you've frozen them, you know, put them in a saucepan, use a nice jarred marinara sauce and put it over your spaghetti squash or zoodles if you don't want to do pasta. And it just makes for such a simple, easy meal. Okay, this is getting there. One of the other things I think that I want to show you guys next week, I won't actually be building it, but I've got a really amazing lasagna hack that I can share with you guys that really makes making your lasagna and portioning your lasagna so much better. So Ashley, does anybody look like they have any questions while I'm cooking the turkey?
I don't see questions, but I saw that we love to have a healthy casserole dish.
Oh, a healthy casserole dish. Okay. Well, you know, I do make a chicken and broccoli, like in a Parmesan sauce. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So it's sort of decadent, but you know, you can make it where it's still casserole-y, but on the healthier version of casserole. Absolutely. Okay, I'll think about that. That's a good idea. Okay, so this is coming along. It's almost ready. I mean, it's still pink. We're going to let it cook. And the other thing too is that this is going to exude some moisture. And so in the past, I've actually used a spoon and kind of spooned it off. And I'm going to just see how much moisture comes out. But I've also then poured this into a colander and to drain it. So then it's not so where you don't have all that liquid. Because if I'm going to especially put this mixture into a wrap, I don't want it when then the person then warms up that wrap, or then it's just all this liquid. And quite honestly, what I usually do is I let this mixture cool. Like what I'll do is I'll make it today and I'll do the wraps tomorrow, just because when it's cold, it's even easier to fill. But you can fill it when you don't want to do it when it's hot. You still want it to cool. But, okay, this is virtually almost ready. And I think I am going to do what I just said and go ahead and put this into a colander, then back into my skillet. And then we'll add the oregano and the salt and you guys can't see me do this part, it's no big deal. I'm just gonna put it, I got the colander in the sink, and I'm gonna go ahead now that this is ready. And this is perfect. The meatballs and the burgers are about 5 minutes away. Just letting this cook just a tad more. All right, I'm gonna turn this down because I still want it on. All right. And actually, this is working pretty good. I normally dump the whole thing in, but I'm just tipping it. And the liquid, some of the turkey's gone into the colander, but I'm not having to pour the whole thing in. Okay, that was great. That on? Yeah, so then just a little bit of the turkey went out. There we go. Okay. Okay, guys, so now what I'm going to do is, there's some kind of big pieces. So I'm just going to kind of chop this up a little bit. All righty, and I've got this now on low. And I'm going to go ahead and add my oregano. Again, there was one time I was out of oregano. I used Italian seasoning. It works fine. So, and I'm just going to sprinkle in. I know it's about, kind of generous. I think I put in, 2 to 3 tablespoons. A little bit of garlic powder. All right. And then a little bit of lemon juice. It's a little good squeeze, okay? Then you take my nutmeg, and I know I have a measurement on here, but I've never really measured, just giving it a good, and then again, I'll take a little and try it. So that's, I think that looks good. We'll see what happens after I try it. And actually, you guys too, I've done this when you're doing it with 3 pounds like this. I've done this in my Dutch oven, so it's basically a little bit smaller but taller. So I'm not like maybe making as big of a mess of my stove. Okay. Oh, it smells delicious. Okay, so now I'm adding the veggies. Here we go. And literally, see, these don't have to cook. They're still going to be kind of al dente. They're going to, I still have the heat on low. You have to kind of just fold these in, but this is so colorful and just yummy. So I'm going to get these in, then I'll put in the green onions. But you can see this makes a lot. I mean, this will make 12 of those wraps. I did this for I've done like girls' night out parties where they all get together and socialize, and then I'll make like a couple different little hors d'oeuvre things. And this was something that was easy. They could kind of watch me do it. Then they could like put in a bowl and eat. But a lot of them, this was a big favorite that they made with their kids too. Okay, now I'm adding the green onion. And that draining the liquid, like I think I'll definitely show you guys how I do the wraps when this cools down a bit. Okay, so that's all mixed in. You can see my skillet is full. I've already gone ahead and portioned out my feta cheese. Again, you don't have to use the feta, but I think it just adds a little bit of creaminess when it melts. And I think I put down like a cup of feta. I think I might have that much, or maybe, no, I think that's about how much I put in here. Again, if you want more, add more.
We have a few questions. Gary says, have you found good substitutions for salt?
That's a hard one. I mean, I think the thing with salt is I use kosher salt because it's not as salty. It's a little bit, I think if it's a real health issue, Gary, I know that they've got some really good salt-free seasonings, but the salt itself from the actual, my mom calls it's the unsung hero. That's what she says. It's picked, she thinks it's picked on all the time. But I think just always using as, being as prudent as you can. And then, like I said, if it's something that is a health issue, then I would really just explore a lot of the salt-free seasonings. I know that Penzeys has got a really nice selection there too. And the grocery store's got some. I've got some Mrs. Dash in here. The Southwest Chipotle. Of course, some of them are going to impart a certain flavor, but that's a hard one. I know the Himalayan pink sea salt and the Himalayan salt, those are all really good salts. And of course, also at Penzeys, they've got a plethora of different types of salt, but that I'm not really an expert in that area. But I think it's a lot of experimentation, especially if it's something that, for health reasons, you're really trying to look away. But I just try to be prudent with it. And like I haven't added any in here yet, but I will sample to see. And my husband, he's like a salt man. And I've just given up. I mean, like he uses like just vegetables for the carrier for the salt. It's ridiculous, but he's fine. I mean, as far as from a health standpoint. So, okay, these look amazing. So I'm going to take these out. I've turned the heat off on our thing, but we've got our, okay. I talked to my equipment. Okay, there's the meatballs and the little burger patties. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set them over here, but then I'll get another rack that I'll put them on to cool. So the other thing too that's really handy to have, you guys, is parchment paper. I get mine in already cut sheets from Amazon that just fit right inside these baking sheets. They're great, but there's, you can get it in a roll, and there's all different ways, or you can use foil, but the parchment paper really works out super well and is very handy for that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and
Liz, besides salt and pepper, what's your favorite single spice to use?
Oh boy, besides salt and pepper, I love I think the blend, just a really, well, it's going to have salt and pepper in it, I guess, would be the different blends. I know that Trader Joe's has one, and it might be salt free. I'm not sure, called 21 Seasoning Salute. Also from Penzeys, I love the Ruth Ann's, but basically these are a salt and pepper with other things added. Boy, that is my most favorite. Well, I just love everything that the Italian blend herb seasoning I love, but yeah, that's a hard one to say that would be my just absolute favorite. I love cumin. I love Mexican, the Mexican seasonings, and yeah. Okay, I'm gonna quickly grab another baking sheet. Okay, so but yeah, that's yeah, I don't know. Do any of you other guests that are on the Zoom have some suggestions? That's a good question. Okay. All right. This guy in. Right. All right. So I think what I can do is I'm going to taste this. I keep a jar full of. Just take a little taste. See if it needs something. It's probably going to need a little bit of salt and pepper. Yes, but not a lot. Just going to use a little bit of salt, with the oregano, the lemon juice, the right amount of nutmeg. This tastes really good. So that wasn't that much salt for this 3 pound. I mean, this makes a lot. Okay. Right. Set that aside for a second. Okay, well, I think what I'll do then, you guys, is let me show you how I do this in the wraps. I might go ahead and. Okay. Also, there's some really, really good gluten-free wraps, you guys. In fact, I'm going to go out in the garage and get my foil sheets that I use, and I'll grab the gluten-free wraps that I use for this that work fantastic. So hold on to your horses. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go out here and get the sheets. Okay. It's another Costco plug. I apologize. And I think that's the only place you can get these, actually. I even went online to see if you could order them. These are called crepini, and these are an egg and cauliflower wrap. They're very, very thin. So when I use these for my clients that I'm going to wrap, freeze, they're going to reheat, I use double. I use 2. But honestly, these are 30 calories per wrap. No carbs, 3 grams of protein per wrap, and they're like a crepe. I mean, they're really, really good. So, whenever I'm there, I always pick up a package. They hold up in the next week. Okay, all right. Okay, so we'll look at all those comments later. That's good. Anyway, these are really, really handy. These are really handy. So I just wanted to show you guys these. I'm not using these today. So what I do is these sheets, now, granted, you can use regular foil if you're not making the things like I'm making these all the time. So these are great. 1 sheet down. And I use these also for when I make quesadillas too. In fact, I actually did a video on my website where I show how I make my quesadilla wraps. So I'm going to put the wrap in the center. Hope you guys can see this okay. And then move all my toys out of the way. I think I added everything there. Okay. And I'll probably just do a couple, but I'm gonna let that. Okay. Then what I do with this is get a nice spoon. You can also use a measuring cup, but I'm kind of used to this spoon with the handle works well. And I'm just going to put a little towards the center. And it ends up being about 3/4 of a cup of filling. Also depending, this particular brand, this Extreme Wellness, actually now has an extra large size. So if you really wanted to make more of a manly burrito, this to me is a perfect size. So then I just fold over, tuck with your fingers, tuck in the side a little bit, wrap in that side, wrap in that side, fold over. So then you have like this little package, okay? Then I go up, over, press down, and just fold the flaps over, okay? So then what I'll do with these is I'll line up either 2 in a 1-quart freezer bag, depending on how my client wants them portioned, or I'll put 4 in a gallon-sized freezer bag. Always remember to label on your bags with it, what's in it, and a date if you're not sure and or things kind of get lost. Always, dating is good. For my clients, I don't have to because I'm there on a regular basis, so it's not getting lost in their freezer. But yeah, so you can see how super, super easy this is. So I think I'm going to wrap up just a couple more. And if you guys have any more questions on what I did today, or I think Ashley, you'll keep, I guess, aware of in the chat. I did see somebody that wanted like a summer type salad recipe.
Yeah, a fun summer salad. And then do you have a favorite salad dressing or homemade dressing recipe?
You know, I am such a basics when it comes to that. Literally what I use for my, for the acid is I love lemon juice. So I'll use lemon juice and either avocado oil or a really good olive oil. And then I use, you know, they make the packets that you can get, which of course are a brilliant idea, but I use the Penzies sandwich sprinkle as my flavor. You could use the Rufans, any kind of seasoning that you like. And it always is a good idea too to do a little zhuzh in your, I keep those little cruettes, you know, that Good Seasons makes. That's what I mix mine up in just because it's easy because you can shake it. But do, however you do it, add a little bit of Dijon mustard because it's kind of an emulsifier. And so that'll kind of make your, and it of course gives great flavor too. So, yeah, that was good. Now the salads that we're talking, I have an amazing, what's called a summer corn salad that's delicious. I can get that recipe. It's not something you're going to freeze. It's something that you're going to make. It'll keep for days in your refrigerator, but it's not a prepare and freeze thing. But I can certainly share that recipe with you. It's actually a recipe that was in the Junior League cookbook that my stepdaughter gave me, and it's fantastic. Is a huge hit. So simple. The dressing and that is like, it's like, why does this taste so good? I don't know. I mean, it's just so simple, but it's delicious. So I'm very happy to print that up and share that with you guys. Ashley, anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. Well, good. We got some meatballs made. We've got some burgers made, and I'm gonna, I think, finish wrapping these up. And like I said, you guys, that this also is, I use these like little sandwich bags, you know, they're thin. And what I'll do is I'm going to make wraps out of this, and then probably make about 8 wraps. And then the rest I'm going to portion into bags. And that would be like a serving for me to have either in a salad. I love that this is delicious just cold in a salad, or just in a bowl warmed up, or added to a cup, put in a little chicken broth and have it like a soup. It's just really, you can see how healthy it is. I mean, it's just your ground turkey and all these vegetables and a little bit of feta cheese. So it's really, you know, from a healthy standpoint, it's really extremely good. So, well, great. Well, if you guys, you don't have any more questions or anything else I can help you guys with? Any other questions, Ashley?
No, thank you so much.
Okay, great. All righty.
Does anyone else have questions? Anything they want to see next week?
Oh, you're welcome, Gary. I'm glad. That's my word, is inspire, actually. That's great. Oh, good. She's cooking meatballs in the crock pot. Awesome. Very good.
Yeah, so it looks like anything casserole maybe for next week would be good. Yeah,
Okay.
I did about lasagna too.
I'll do a recipe. I'll show some different, the lasagna thing I was talking about, and also the different freezing techniques in the containers. But yeah, I'll find a casserole recipe. Ooh, I know which one I'm gonna do. Ooh, the mascacholi. Okay, I know which one. I know what I'm gonna do. Yes. Oh, lasagna hash sounds good. Yes, it does. Well, actually, it's going to be kind of Italian-y, but it's going to be something that is actually doesn't have any meat in it, but yes, you can add meat into it. It's really delicious, very comfort food feeling, and I think it's company worthy too, and can be made gluten-free or regular. So I know what I'm going to do.